Any changes this week, Tom?
What's that?
Changes this week?
Yeah, look, I think unfortunately Tommy Lynch is going to be out. He's picked up a viral infection, which is we're running some tests at the moment, but yeah, he won't play.
Scotty Thompson coming in.
Well, look, he's a chance. He's had some great form in the SANFL, and particularly pleasing on the weekend was not only the volume of possessions, but how he won it, and so he's certainly put his hand up nice and high.
So Tommy Lynch it's more serious than he's got a cold at the moment. We obviously haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, look, he's got something viral. We're doing some tests at the moment to work out what that is, and but the indication from the doctor is he's not going to be available this week. So we'll see how the results come up and take it from there.
When you say doing tests, is he at home and just visiting hospital getting tests done, or is he in hospital?
I don't want to go into the detail of where he is, to be honest.
What about Charlie Cameron? He didn't train much this morning. Is he in a bit of doubt?
Yeah, Charlie's in some doubt. I mean, he was unable to train this morning. He's got that wrist injury as well, so we'll assess how that sort of looks with Charlie. And again, if he's not right, he won't play.
What's the extent of the wrist injury? Because I think he was able to finish the game on.
Yeah, he was. There's no break or anything else in there. He's got some strain in there. It's a matter of how functional that'll be and how comfortable he is with that as well.
And Luke Brown, just to add it to the group.
Luke Brown, yeah. So Luke did some running today, and he'll do a bit more training tomorrow. Really positive signs from Luke today, so he's pretty confident. So we'll give him a chance tomorrow and have a run and make a decision from there.
Just back on Charlie Cameron with his wrist, is there anything else an issue with Charlie Cameron? Is he sore, or is it all based around his wrist?
It's mainly his wrist, yeah.
So with Lynch, is he the only one that's got this infection in the group, or are you worried about it spreading? Or?
Well, at this stage he's the only one, yeah. But I think we just monitor the players as need be. But my understanding is he's the only one who's presented with any sort of symptoms.
So he's been quarantined for this?
Well, not so much quarantined. He's not at the club, so that's not really quarantined. But he's not in a state to be at the club either. He's at home. He's at resting.
When did he sort of present symptoms?
It was early in the week, so probably Monday afternoon.
I suppose with one, if not two, forced changes this week. Opportunities for a couple of players.
Yeah, there is, and we've had the SANFL side had a great win on the weekend and some really good form, played some good footy. So there's a number of guys there who've come into contention. So Cole Cheney's probably played a month worth of footy down back. Riley Knight and Mitch McGovern, played again. Tomo we've already mentioned. Paul Searsman played a couple of games. So there's some options there and some guys who are super keen and looking for a chance, and that's going to present for at least one, if not two.
They were pretty handy in attack on the weekend, McGovern and Knight, weren't they?
Yeah, well, both of them have played AFL footy and have played some good AFL footy for us this year. So obviously Mitch coming back off 7 weeks out. He's really good first game, probably a bit quieter on the weekend, but that's sometimes what you get second game out. And Nida, we know his running power, and he was able to impose himself on the game really well. So they'll both come into consideration.
We know that Mitch is a talent, obviously has the talent by AFL. Though we wanted to get a few runs into him in the SANFL to get the fitness back. Is he at the level that you want now?
Oh, look, his GPS numbers suggest his running's fine. It's also the game side of things as well. So we'll whale that up.
How important then, Don? I suppose it's pretty easy straight swapping to Lynch for McGovern, and could be a pretty handy inclusion against Carlton.
It could be what happens at match committee. But yeah, sounds like you want to come on in, give us some advice. But yeah, it's a possibility.
So what are you looking for, Don, after in response to last week's result? Is there one area that you've honed in on? Is it contested ball again? Or?
Well, our contested stuff was really strong in the first half last week, and I think at half time we were in a good position at half time. We let that slip in the second half, which was disappointing. And we've had some good conversations about that, and the reality is we need to respond against a Carlton side which has proven to be A, very strong defensively, and B, have beaten some good sides. I mean, they beat GWS 3 weeks ago, Gold Coast, and we're thereabouts with Richmond. So we've got to return to back playing some of our best footy consistently, which we haven't done, to be honest, for probably the 6 weeks we've been up and down.
Can you put your finger on why?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. It's the evenness of the comp and some things we need to continue to evolve in. I mean, I've always said that for us it's about executing our fundamentals, and on the weekend I think it's fair to say, or last Thursday against Hawthorn, we were poor in that area, and also about evolving our style, and that's part of the discussions and the education that are ongoing inside, is to go, well, sides playing slightly differently against us, yeah, let's acknowledge that. What do we need to do and adjust, and some of those things we get a chance to educate on, train, and then try and improve.
After the game, Hugh Greenwood hinted that the Crows are too nice. Do you believe that?
Did Hugh intimate that, did he? Yeah, okay. I think
we're all good guys, but maybe we need to be the opposite.
Well, I think we've got some high quality individuals. I think on the ground is one space we can probably leave that behind. And I think the potential for our guys to... And the interesting thing is you look at the numbers, and the numbers suggest that that's not the case. But as I've said all along, this is a competitive game. And, you know, when you get two opposing forces meet each other, there's a point where one wants to impose themselves a bit more, and, you know, that's a challenge for us to be able to make sure that we're the ones imposing ourselves.
Did you learn something from the unsociable Hawthorn?
Yeah, well, I don't know if so much it was the unsociable Hawthorn on last Thursday night. For me, it was, you know, they brought some strength and experience back into the side. But I thought the way the game was being played at half time, we were where we sort of wanted to be. Now, we couldn't continue in that vein, and that's credit to Hawthorn. But there's also good learning for us out of it.
What does being nice mean?
Sorry.
What does being nice mean? I mean, your players want to get aggressive. They need to stay focused as well.
Yeah.
So you can't go the other way.
No. And you've got to be. It's within your nature as well. Like some guys, you know, you can see guys who go outside of what their natural tendency is. But we've got plenty of competitive animals in our team. Let's not kid ourselves. It's the ability to bring it on a consistent level, which we're looking for.
Would Scott Thompson make a good bodyguard for Rory Sloane?
We're going to the movies now, are we? Going Kevin Costner style, are we? So, look, we know Tomo, but 300 games has been a real competitive animal, and that's one of his great strengths. Would he bring that to the team if we bring him in? Clearly he would, because that's what he's done for 300 plus games. So, but we're not going down the path of bringing players in to sort of chaperone other players around.
What about Don? Wish you had Bryce Gibbs in a Crows jersey this weekend and not a navy blue one?
Next question. Well, it doesn't make any sense. Like we've had that conversation about the Gibbs situation, and clearly there wasn't a deal to be done, and we moved on. So.
What about Bryce's form though?
He's one of a number of good players for Carlton. When we look at whether it's Gibbs, you've got Murphy, Cripps through the middle there, and then you've also got Simpson and Doherty who are dangerous down back. So we recognise they've got some quality in all lines, and he's just one of those. But for this weekend, he's an opposition player.
Don, just on Wayne Miller, after he got the knock to the knee on the weekend, trained yesterday, did he complete full training?
Yeah, full train today.
He'll be available.
Don, a lot of the talk today has been about the historic decision for the AFL to appeal Basher Hooley's ban. What have you made of that, the AFL taking that action?
It's interesting. Obviously, they felt, and I was only just made aware of that when I walked in, that they've taken that action, but obviously they felt that the penalty that was handed down wasn't sufficient, I assume, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, to be honest.
Don, you talked about Doherty and Simpson before. They're sort of the quarterbacks, if you like, for that team. Do you think about employing defensive forwards, or how do you deal with players like that? Because they're both very prolific every week. Yeah,
they're two guys that really set them up from the back half, and as I said before, Carlton play a unique style, and those two guys are pivotal as part of that style. So we'll have to have some clear plans for how we want to deal with those two guys, because they're generally pretty high metres, gain sort of players. They carry the ball and they set them up. So we'll have a good think about that.
Don, did you have any input into the coaches meeting in Melbourne last night at Gilbert Watkins' house? You didn't sort of speak to Chris Fagan or on behalf of the interstate?
No, I didn't have any input at all. So I haven't heard anything as to how the dinner went either. So.
Was there anything you would have wanted to speak to Gil about in particular?
Oh, not really. I spoke to Gil a couple of times throughout the year, so it's the only thing that generally, I caught up with him last year around the draft time. There's a few things, but there's a lot more experienced coaches than me out there who've got different views on the game, and generally we feed those through whether it's from coaching to Andrew Fagan, our CEO, when he meets with the AFL. So that's happening in a constant dialogue.
What did you make of the 4 umpires that we used during the bye rounds?
Yeah, look, it was interesting, the 4 umpires, because it sort of gives you, there's some potential to potentially have more free kicks, but it's probably the one area, and I don't know how the umpires saw it, whether the consistency between the umpires, whether that changes the mix and balance. I'll leave that with those guys to assess whether it was a success and whether the benefit of having, I think they're trialling to get the more umpires out there, meaning they can possibly do a Friday night game, they cover less ground, they can do an umpiring on a Sunday as well. So I think it's good that we trial these things, and then someone makes a decision whether it works or it doesn't. That won't be me.
Do you want to play in India, Don?
What's that?
Do you want to play in India against Essendon, or whatever those mooted talks have been? How would you feel about going and playing a pre-season game in India?
News to me, playing in India. Where's that come from?
It was in the Adelaide Now last week, in the advertiser.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, talks that Adelaide's in.
Haven't thought about playing in India. Interesting. I assume we're playing football, or we're going to IPL here. We're going to get our own IPL team.
Essendon's raised it.
Essendon raised it. Okay.
Last one, Dawn. What's your view on the SANFL and the standard there? There's some news that the Crows are considering, going across to the BFL.
In terms of my views on us staying in the SANFL versus going, or
yeah, on staying, and in terms of the standard to have your players sort of play there on a weekly basis as compared to playing in the BFL.
Well, I certainly think that having our guys playing the same team is vital. And we're seeing the benefit of that now because we're able to educate our guys on the style we want and the play we want. At the moment that arrangement's with the SANFL and that stays in place.